Sanbanan Dumlang, hello, it's Simply Spisser here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, but also a special welcome to you if you are listening to the audio podcast, Simply Do the Work. Today's guest is an independent queer artist from Limpopo, South Africa, who blends traditional African elements with pop and R&B to create his own unique immersive sound. Through his music, he speaks about various personal and social issues and uses his platforms to talk about the issues and his experiences as a young creative in South Africa. Allow me to welcome Modirwa. Now, before we get into this interview, let me just put a disclaimer and say that, as you all know, South Africa, we are going through load shedding, and because of load shedding, it did make the network a bit unstable, but we pushed through, we made it work. I'm really excited for us to get into this interview. We spoke about his journey of music, we also spoke about the challenges that he's faced, and he gives some really practical insights and advice for young creatives in South Africa. So, without further ado, let's jump right into this conversation.
Okay, so today's guest is someone that I met online like late 2018. And over the years, we've gotten to really know each other. We've discussed many issues from music, queer topics, Black Lives Matter. And I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome, Modirwa.
Hello. Hi, Cecil.
How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, I'm great. I have no complaints. It's a great Sunday afternoon, and yeah, that's it.
You are a musician
Mhm.
and you have three EPs out. But before we dive into that, I wanted to know about your upbringing. How did you get into music? And, how did, like, key milestones that brought you to where you are today?
Okay. Well, I started singing in church. Very weird beginning for a queer person, but that's where we had to start. And yeah, it was nice. Like you get a lot of singing practice, and then you fall in love with music, and you start learning about spirituality, which is not really like the spirituality that's like kind of dynamic. It's like one sided and like very um, I don't know. Christian specific, and then you just grow that way, and then you start singing. You start singing for everyone, every chance you get. I remember I used to sing so many talent shows, one so many talent show I sang, and in high school and in primary school, and then your art teachers or your English teachers, they just love you, so they give you so many opportunities. Then you go and then you sing. Also, actually, I had like this very unique relationship with my principal. Every single time a guest would come to school, he'd literally call me to sing. Which is crazy now when I think about it. But literally, I had to sing every time someone came to school. So I got used to that, and then I grew my confidence, and yeah, I started learning about like, uh, just like music from home. I think most of like the music I used to listen to as a young queer artist is like gospel, so that is what influenced me a lot. And also I used to listen to a lot of traditional Sepedi music. It's called Mapadi and Dinagai and all those kind of things, and my friends are very interested in that, and so that kind of influenced my the kind of like I only started looking into R&B and pop and all those sorts of things when I got to university, and yeah, so that's been my introduction to music, actually. But yeah, that's it.
Wow, I think you've got, I feel like a lot of singers, they talk about how they started in church, and it's a common story that we often hear. But I also love how you talk about how you also were surrounded by the African, the traditional elements. I think that really does shine through in your music. Your music is very much, it's kind of like, it's very unique. Like when I listen to it, sometimes I can hear, okay, these elements remind me of this artist or that artist, but you're still unique to you. So I wanted to know, like, who are like some artists that influence you, and how do you take those influences to create your own sound and not just like copycat them?
I'm influenced by a lot of artists, but like my top five definitely would be Laurent Vula, Solange, Neo, Aurora. I talk about this all the time, actually. It just never changes. The list stays the same. And the other artists, they come in and out. Uh, there are certain specific projects that inspire me, and some that don't. But and then Chloe and Hallie, I love them. They're very recent, but like I've loved them from the beginning. But yeah, they influence how I actually approach music and how I sing and how I write, and I love different things from all of them. And so yeah, those are like my inspirations. Yeah.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I was wondering, like, along the way, what are some of the challenges that you faced, and like, how did you overcome them?
Uh, in terms of music, the biggest challenge is not having money. Like that is
Mm,
the biggest challenge for any artist actually. Um, when you have money, a lot of things are just possible. And so I feel like for me that was like a very specific problem for me because um, in order for you to access a lot of people that can help you in your music, you need money. And if you don't have money, and I think most people who are students, and I just saw them, they'd be like, yeah, I'm going to a recording studio or I'm going to meet a producer X. And I was just wondering, how do they know all these people? And it's like, they actually have money. Like their parents, they give them a lot of money. I met um, someone and they knew Elaine personally. And so they'd always send these links. She's in America, or that's before she was famous. She's had money. She's
mm,
had those kind of like access, and like when you break up, people just think, oh yeah, I mean, they probably didn't have anything. They just made it out of nothing, and it's like, no, they actually had a lot of money leading up to that moment, and yeah, so that is a big problem for me. But um, I think as I grow up, I'm starting to kind of save up more and kind of take more time. Creating a project so that I have more time and more money so that I make better work. But yeah, that is that.
but yeah, you were talking about how money is, one of the biggest problems, and I think I can relate to that as well. Like in creating content, right? People say you need to have the best microphone, you need to have the best camera, the best this, all of that, and those things cost money, right? And
Mm.
I know you spoke about how sometimes people who mean well will give you all sorts of advice and critiques. So I was wondering, how have you set boundaries with regards to the critiques you let people give you with regards to your music
Well,
or
oh my
anything
God.
that you create?
Yeah, I get a lot of advice like from people who are just meaning well. They just think, oh my God, if you could just do this, if you could just do that, and if you could just do this. And it's like, all of that you said requires money and I don't have money. And if you really want to help me, you should give me money. I can do that all by myself. I know that. I am actually the artist. Like I have vision. I've studied that I don't know that I have. I just don't have the money. And so a lot of
Mm.
people do that kind of advice. Uh the way that I do it, I turn off my comments. I really did. I was always like, open to people. I would be to do this me how just have
You're
these.
breaking up a bit. I can't hear you.
Oh, I used to send people links to my music back then,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'd be like, "Tell me how you feel," and all these things, and I'd be asking for their opinion, and they would give me all this unsolicited advice, and I'd be so upset about it, and I'm like, "But it's me. I got myself into that situation because I asked them what did they think,
Mm.
and so now I don't." Because I never actually even needed that. Like I just wanted them to listen and maybe fall in love with the music. And so now I don't even give them the chance. And also I just outright say, like, I don't need your advice right now. So also because sometimes when you give them art you've been working on, they need to watch it and like enjoy it and then shut up. So yeah,
Yeah.
that is it.
Yeah, like I've actually learned a lot from you in that regard, that sometimes you don't need to take the advice. Like sometimes I see some comments, like, I'm just going to delete this comment. I'm not even going to interact not going to engage because this person is. I feel like we want a conversation about how people should just meet you where you are at and not try to
Yeah.
project their own ideas or their own vision. And I think what I love about you is you clearly you have a vision. You say like the real challenge is the challenge of money, which I think a lot of artists will about. Like you mentioned how it seems like having a label has its benefits. What is your stance on that?
Um. Wow. The video's been like on my side, so. But my opinion on that. My opinion on that is that I feel like eventually I might need it. But I would rather prefer that I save up my own money and just get to a place where, or like find a sponsor that just will not require that kind of creative control over what I do, or where I
Mm,
won't owe them that kind of, I don't know. I feel like most record labels are literally alone, and I don't think I want that kind of support. I don't know. I think I'd rather be independent because then I'll have a lot of creative freedom. And also I love like very weird ideas, and I'm not really always um like commercial success is very important to me, but it's not always like the biggest priority for me. Sometimes I feel very moved to create very specific kind of music that through people be the best experience. But if push comes to shove and that's the only option, I will in that case. But uh, if I do end up saving enough money and just being very well off, I won't even try to get a record label. I'm not even gonna. But yeah, that's how I feel.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. So you mentioned commercial success isn't something that you are like necessarily chasing. So how do you measure success for yourself?
Success for me is when more people respond to my art. I know that I'm doing the right thing, and over the years, there's been more and more response. Like, and I keep, I do my own kind of like journaling of like every time I release a project, what happens, and I look back on the experiences of like the past projects I've done and what happened, and I can see that there's like improving reaction to everything that I do, and so eventually I just think I want to create art that I feel like can create more and more responses within people, and you know that kind of thing. So I do measure my art based on like how many people are interested after I release something. Are more people interested after this? So if less people are interested, I'm like, maybe I might not be um, kind of perfectly translating my vision into my art. So I go back to the drawing board and kind of make changes that I feel like, okay, this is where I can compromise. This is where I can do this and this and that. Because I do know when I'm creating art, when I am being extremely selfish, and when and where I can specifically like be like, you know what, I don't need to be that selfish here or this and this and that. So I know those kind of changes I can make. So I just go back to those and I'm like, and every time it works like a charm. Every time I change those things, I know it gets better. So I know I always take note. I study my own work and the kind of decisions I make. I do study myself. Okay, now I'm going to do this, and I want to see how that is going to affect my music. And also, it's very easy to measure my success because I actually have the stats. So there's also like a realistic
Mm.
part of like um, a measuring stick, I guess, that I use. But yeah.
Yeah. So I know you also over the years you have released music and removed music, and it's always I've always wondered what is your thought process? Is it part of just gauging the reaction of people? Like sometimes my favorite song one day is on Spotify, the next day it's gone. I'm just like, whoa, what is happening?
Not me being called out. Uh, well, I sometimes okay. Sometimes I continuously listen to my music, and I'm like, what kind of overall artist image am I creating? And some songs, the way that I made them, I'm like, I'm I don't think this ref- that I hate the song, but I hate how I know better now anymore. Like I'll reintroduce the knowledge that I've acquired now. And yeah, so that's why I delete certain music. And sometimes like I release music for only a season. Like I just feel like, oh yeah, I don't feel
Mm.
strongly about this, but I feel it strongly right now. So let me release it. And then when the feeling fades, then I will take it back.
Power to you, like you're literally owning your art. But yeah, I know like with your latest EP, Fruity Apprehensions, those were songs which were previously released. I had heard them before.
Yeah.
And Fruity Apprehensions is also it's your most recent, it's also your most streamed project on Spotify. Like,
Yeah.
what was the process like in creating Fruity Apprehensions? I'm just curious to know.
Uh, I actually forgot. Whenever I create art, I get into this mind that just is so engulfed in the experience that, like, once I get out of it, it's like you were in this dream, and like now the details
Mm.
are all foggy and everything. Um, but I think, what was I doing? I
Or
oh,
what does it mean
okay.
to you now?
Oh, okay. Now it'd be. Oh, yeah. I really love that project, actually. For that project, I challenged myself to kind of be be less serious, but be more quick and to the point with the things that I'm saying in my music. And I also wanted to steer away from being very mysterious. Then I also wanted to start exploring, imagining myself uh, not just as a human, I guess, just as a kind of queer entity, I guess. Yeah, I think that was the whole point of that project. And so most of the things that I was doing in that project were kind of like just imagining myself as different entities of my queerness. It's a very, it's such a specific experience. But yeah,
Mm.
I'm challenging myself in my music to start exploring what queerness means to me with each coming project. And so with more projects comes kind of like my exploration into my imagination. Like in one of the songs I imagine myself as a cat, as a gay cat. And it's such a specific fantasy, but it really just worked for me. Like I was just like, oh yeah, why would I think I'm a gay cat? And so I wrote a song about it, which is a free.
And it's actually one of my favorite songs.
I it's to really. I want to start being very mystical in my music. It's just being fun. I'm still. I feel like gearing myself up to just making fun music. Yeah, this is fun. Let me do it. This is fun. Let me do it. Instead of like taking myself too seriously, which I did in the past. And yeah, that is it.
Yeah, and I think we noticed that with artists like Doja Cat does not take too seriously, but she can still tell she really respects the art of music and the art of performing.
Yeah.
And I think because she doesn't take herself so seriously, that's why people are falling in love with her and her personality. And I guess I'm sort of seeing like a similar trend in where you're going with your music.
Yeah. Oh wow. Hopefully that, because I feel like being playful but also being serious, it just eases people but it also draws them in, and so I really like that. And maybe wow, now that you mentioned Doja Cat, yeah, you know what? It actually is crazy because the artists that are like really popular, actually, I think they affect how I approach my art as well. Even though like I would never list them as like direct references, but I do kind of like look at being a certain artist and I'm like, wow, I like what they're doing. Maybe that, and even though I never really do like direct work to kind of replicate what they're doing, that kind of gives me a freedom, I guess, or permission to kind of play with my art in that kind of way. But yeah, that is that.
Yeah. So I like to know, with regards to putting your queerness in your music,
Yeah.
was there many artists who are queer but in the closet because they feel like to be commercially successful, it would be better if they hide themselves. Was there ever a battle, internal debate regarding that?
No, well, no, I'm lying. I think yes, because I'm very Christian and I come from a Christian household. And so I don't really, so like in most of my prayers, I still, even now, it still affects me because I don't really always be like, one plus one is two. Like I always just, it's always just so poetic, but like, it's like little things. Like if you're queer, you'll notice, but if you're not, you might not. Like and I hate that. I want to get to a point where I'm just like very in your face, like queer. I would really love that in one of my projects. Oh my god, I think it is freezed, but yeah, I would like to get to that.
Okay, yeah, you're back now.
Oh yeah, but what I was saying, it's no longer poetic. Like it's just.
Oh, you're back.
But yeah, I'm not really afraid. Like I feel like if I wanted to, I would. I just haven't had a song where I need to be like very. If I ever feel that way, I will. Like, 'cause I don't really care that much about like people's reaction at this point in my life, and it's just that a song like that hasn't come to me. But most of my songs, they have like some queer elements, but they're not like they're not like in the forefront. So I think I'm your experiences that much.
Yeah, no, I get what you mean because it's not like in your face. So I feel like with like Fruity Apprehension is probably the most in your face type of
I know.
queer reference in your catalog. But yeah, I can relate to the whole poetic thing because growing up, I used to write poems to sort of express or like navigate my queer feelings. So I was like, if my mom ever finds this because it's a poem, it's actually might not be able to read the subtext, but I will know and I'm able to just get those feelings out. So I can totally relate to that poetic aspect.
Yeah, very that. Yeah, I do that a lot. I think yeah, and also that's the thing that I learned about like my love for poetry was really my love for hiding. So I'm kind of starting to
Mm,
respect every time I want to be poetic with my music. I'm like, is that really going to do the art justice, or do I just want to hide? So I always have to kind of fight myself out of it. Like, you don't need to be poetic here. You can just be like, yeah, hi, gay. But yeah, that is that.
okay. And so I was wondering, do you have any advice for someone who is an up and coming young creative in this economy? Because, hey, it's bad out there.
My advice is, I don't know if this advice is gonna help anyone, but this is actually bad advice because I'm going at it from experiential wisdom, but I know like people sometimes will say, just do it even if you don't have the resources, but sometimes you'll experience less bullying if you wait until you have resources. So if you want to get bullied more, You can do it when you don't have resources. But if you want to have less bullying experiences, wait until you have all the resources, and that will help you have a more pleasant experience with your art. But yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, that's beautiful because yeah, I think especially in this day and age of like this culture, like Twitter trolling, like people are just mean. People out there to be mean. So I think it's
Yeah,
important that you're coming with the real practical, like you know what, if you don't want to be, but if you want to, especially like I wish I had advice like that starting out because it would have saved my mental health. It would have made the process of creating and discovering myself through creating a lot less stressful.
yeah, very
So
that.
yeah, yeah. So I just wanted to know, like, have you ever had experiences of burnout or just like how or like even writer's block and how did you overcome that?
Yeah, I have that all the time actually. I think this is like from a different part of my life, but like because of academics, um, I went in. I went through a depression, I guess. I think sometimes like I feel the pressure to always have like something productive happening in my life, and whenever I'm having a burnout, I'm like, that's an okay thing to experience because uh, I just sit and relax and other kind of perspectives, take care of my body and my mind, I'll be better for it. So I kind of just accept that, um, it's okay to have writer's block. Like you're not always, it's very human to not always be like on top. Like, but like as an
Mm,
artist, sometimes you can use your body like as if it's like a computer or a machine, and you just expect all this productivity from it. That's like very unrealistic. And so recently, I've experienced a lot of writer's block. I haven't made music in a long time, but I'm having a better experience navigating it because I don't feel the pressure to always be productive anymore. Yeah, I think that is that.
yeah, I can also relate. I feel like also in this digital economy with like there's so many creatives, there's so many artists trying to make it. You always feel pressure to always be present, always be seen, always
Yeah,
putting out something. 'Cause I know like I'll be having a break, I'll be stressed. Okay, are people gonna forget about me? And even other people like, oh, why don't you make something? But also I think it's better to just take that time for yourself. So when you do come back and make something, it's something that you're actually proud of, not just something you just put out for the sake of having something out.
yeah, very that, very that. I agree with that. Yeah, that is a very no, that is good. That is what I found out works way better. If you just stay back, like just be Adele.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is that. Even Beyonce takes a break, guys. Beyonce, the whole entire Beyonce, like she takes an artist break, like that. When that really registered into my brain, I couldn't believe that I once expected myself to always be productive like that. Like that's crazy. But yeah, that is that.
All right. So I just wanted to know, like, currently, what are you busy with? Like, what are you doing with your time? Like, I know you said you haven't made any music recently. So, what is up in your life at the moment? If you don't mind sharing.
uh, actually, like literally yesterday was the first time that I actually went out to a producer, and I'm like, hey, I want to hear some of your stuff, and played some things, and I liked some of the things. So I actually might write again, but I don't know when I'll be done. But I will definitely be taking my time. Like, I don't think this year I might release music, but I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. But so far, I haven't been working on anything. If you want art, listen to my art. It's still art. It doesn't expire. And yeah, so I'm not really working on anything like major right now. Also, like I have like really personal experiences that I really want to be present in right now. And I feel like art will take away my focus from those experiences. But after I'm done with these experiences, I will be ready and guns blazing, and hopefully my bank balance will be ready as well. So,
Yes.
but yeah, that is that.
All right. But on that note, it's been really lovely having you. I want to know where can people find you if they want to get in touch?
Uh, well, everywhere. You can even Google me. But yeah, I'm
Yes.
Modirwa. So yeah, I think on Instagram my name is yeah, it's just Modirwa, I think. And on Twitter it's Modirwa, and you'll just if you search you'll find me. And I'm not very difficult to find on the internet. But and yeah, you can find my music everywhere where you get music. And yeah, that's it. And yeah, that's it actually.
All right, thank you so much. We made it, even though the Wi-Fi was being homophobic and giving us some issues.
I
But thank you so
know
much for
he was
taking
a
the time.
hater. Oh my god, the internet was a hater today. The Wi-Fi, but I'm so grateful for you having me, and yeah, I appreciate it actually. Wow, this is actually my second podcast interview, so I'm very elated. I'm like, ooh, not me being on podcast.
Yes, it's just the beginning. This is just the beginning.
I know, but yeah, thank you so much, and I appreciate you.
All right, I
But
appreciate
it's just
you.
it's one of those challenges. It's just part of the journey of being a creative here in South Africa. I was actually reading somewhere, and this is me like debating that apparently a lot of South Africans are now struggling to get these online tutoring jobs because of the constant load shedding. So these are just some like you guys saw practically firsthand the challenges that we face in this country, but we push through, we make the most of it. So yeah, guys, please do check him out on social media. Check out his music. If you've been an OG on my YouTube channel, his music is actually featured in a number of my vlogs from like 2019, I think. His music is there featured in my vlogs, and so if you're an OG, like the voice, the music, the style should not be foreign to you. But yeah, before I let you go, if you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe, follow, share, and also feel free to reach out to me at Simply Sfiso on Instagram and Twitter, where you can find me. So yeah, until the next one, until you hear from me or see me, I love you so much. Bye.